Former South African president, anti-apartheid activist, and Nobel Peace Prize recipient Nelson Mandela once said that education is the most powerful weapon that you can use to change the world. So I ask, why are we selectively ending the bright futures of our generation by having them to pay for a higher education? Why make the fight harder than it already is? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, my name is Salandra Singleton, and we, the defense, strongly believe that students shouldn't be bound to the burden of paying for a higher education. Now, my opponent, they are going to make you think that paying for a higher education is a resolution for our communities and try to convince you that this idea should be implemented as a necessity. But money is said to be the root of all evil, and today you will see who truly has a heart in this debate. The prosecution are the money-hungry villains of this story, yet they do not know that the good will always prevail. My research will clearly show why this decision will be a deterrent, let alone detrimental to our educational systems and the many minds who fuel it. Let the evidence speak for itself. I want to lay out my argument in terms of a story about graduate students Jasmine Weeks and Nesma Deragera. According to YoungInvincibles.org, these individuals do not have the privilege of being financially situated, nor having sustainable support while trying to obtain a higher education. Picture just for a moment that you are a first-year college student and you have to constantly skip meals, starving yourself to allocate whatever little funds you have towards your rent. Could you even fathom enduring the continual increase in tuition and living costs? This was the story that Jasmine Weeks experienced. She didn't have a sturdy support system to back her mentally or emotionally through her academic journey. Imagine having available resource centers for student success and still feeling helpless because of the amount of other students trying to get help. As an autistic student, Jasmine had concentration and overstimulation issues, meaning that she needed a more complex accommodations to help her. This brings me to why paying for a higher education induces more stress on the student. According to the article College Stress by UNC Learning Center, college students commonly experience stress because of increased responsibilities, changes in eating and sleeping habits, and not being able to take enough self-care breaks. Going further down the article, UNC states, chronic stress can interfere with studying or class attendance, interfere with cognitive processes such as attention and concentration, and can contribute to major health issues such as heart disease, high blood pressure, diabetes, depression, and anxiety. This shows clearly the point I am trying to make, that paying for a higher education is not necessary, especially if the journey will only wear down its traveler. Back to our story, Jasmine did get the help she sought out for, but it came from external sources in her community, people who shared the same struggles as her, not the university she was paying so much money towards. Our opponents want you to think that paying for a higher education is simple and even manageable, but it is far from that. You must realize that if we continue in this course, this society will crumble. There will only be the rich and the already wealthy, the privileged and the already advantageous. I can be sure that extending a helping hand is not in their vocabulary, especially when there's a silver spoon in their mouth. I urge you to realize that this will not serve true purpose. Let's send home the clear message. Imagine Jasmine being your friend and all they need is support. Can you see the distress a person goes through because they were never provided the right sources or materials? The famous lines from Virgil, a Roman poet, comes to mind. Quote, "The greatest wealth is health." Money is expendable while your life is not. Second, in a recent study done by EBSCO Information Services, more than 40% of college students are still not equipped with adequate financial literacy and knowledge skills. This is where the story of Nesma Deragera comes into play. Nessa's prime concern was affordability. In their first year of college, they had to become financially independent, having to step out of their comfort zone with any familial support. They themselves had to admit that having resources available and hearing from relatable individuals who have successfully navigated college could have enhanced their experience. This clearly shows that most students are financially illiterate. Think for a moment. Does it make sense that only 8 out of 50 states in this country requires college students to take a financial literacy course, you are too smart to believe this song and dance that the prosecution team is trying to put on. In the words of Ness, quote, advocacy for higher education and mentorship are crucial aspects that can significantly improve the college experience, especially for first-generation students, end quote. It's obvious that we need to create a supportive and well-informed community. Jurors, what does your story look like? Can you relate to these stories of these college students? Students who aren't as privileged as you and I while on their academic journey. According to educationdata.org, I was shocked to find that 4-year private, for-profit schools have the highest dropout rate of 38% for full-time students due to financial pressure. Additionally, in Florida alone, a total of 1,561,000 people dropped out of college as of 2022. That's 1,561,000 less tech engineers, scientists, doctors, lawyers, etc. that we have in our society today. This shows how many lives are affected by paying for a higher education. All the futures that were cut short. How dare the prosecution try to support the capitalistic ways of America and how they seep into our educational systems. So, members of the jury, it's high time that we rewrite the story of our students being deterred from greatness. Let the facts and infallible evidence speak for itself.